The books I read said you were a fragile kid, just as I imagined it. Your story goes. Another nosebleed, roses on the pillowcase. The fever breaks and you're back on earth again. You wear hers in the living room. The nursemaid comes mid-afternoon to say you've practiced long enough today. She takes your bow, it's supper time, but oh, your only appetite was fixed on the Chacone you'd hoped to pay.
Davey D hanging out with you this afternoon, San Francisco, California, but all the way from the great state of Minnesota, as they like to say. It is the one and only Dessa. We know her from the group DoomTree, and that's really where I know you from, but it seems like from looking at your table, you have a little bit more of a history. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And let's find out a little bit about your history.
Thanks for having me. I've checked it out for a long time, so I appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, I joined DoomTree in 2005, so maybe 5 years ago we've been working together. And DoomTree kind of functions as a hybrid of a hip-hop crew and also a collection of solo MCs and producers who are working to build their own careers, but doing so collaboratively. So we
Like a Rhymesayers.
kind of like a Rhymesayers. And we, like, in addition to doing the label thing, we also just share resources. So each one of us kind of learned a business skill somewhere along the way. So Laserbeak manages our books, Sims manages our merchandise inventory. I learned how to write some press releases, and I do our regional and local promotions. And I think in doing so, we were able to try to catalyze that kind of normal ascent and try to speed it up a little bit by everybody helping each other out for the past few years.
So you all out of need, because it sounds like
Necessity
it
and
sounds
invention
out of
and so forth,
necessity.
yeah.
Everybody picked up the skill, and then it just all worked out.
It did. I mean, I'd say that may paint our history a little more smoothly than it actually felt. There was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of frustration along the way too. But in the end, because we've done everything ourselves, we still own our art. You know, so we're making those artistic decisions at the end of the day.
I'm glad to hear that. I was talking with my class today over at SF State, and I was explaining the current economic state that we're in, conditions that we're in, has made it so that it's very difficult for people to find work. And I'm sure you are aware, you know, that so many people are just doing anything they can. And I was explaining, as hip-hoppers, people in the hip-hop, they're gonna have to really, you know, start looking towards each other and networking and everybody sharing a skill and doing your own business. And when I think of Minnesota, it seems like you all have a little history of doing that. And is there a reason why?
You know, I think probably the reason why has to do with the precedent that was set by Rhymesayers. The genres are really permeable in Minneapolis, so very often you'll find mixed bills that might include a rap act and a punk rock act and an instrumentalist ensemble. So people are willing to really pool resources. Maybe that's because we don't have major labels there to begin with, so nobody's under the impression that there's going to be a talent scout at your show who's going to rescue you from your life. You are going to rescue you from your life. And I think that also musicians in Minneapolis realize that it's not a zero-sum game, which means if he sells a record, that doesn't mean that that's another record I didn't sell. We can work together to try to both promote our projects and find some mutual benefit. And then lastly, at least in the DoomTree Collective, which is the only group whose books I have access to, trying to find and diversify revenue streams. So when it comes down to it, where do you get your money? You can get it from album sales. You can get it from the sale of soft goods like t-shirts and bandanas, etc. You can get it for live performances. You can get it for sync rights, which means licensing your music for the use in motion art. And then maybe lastly, I already said that intro, but I'm using it again.
What caught me was the bandana. Y'all selling gang bandanas? Is that what's going on?
Oh, get out. He's laughing behind camera. He knows that's completely not true. But then keeping your overhead low. You know,
Right.
If you need SB Dunks every other week, then you're gonna have to sell a lot of units.
Right.
If you need Converse All-Stars twice a year, you're gonna be able to tour harder and reinvest more of that money in your career.
And you wear Converse All-Star.
I think you know that I do.
Yes. You know, I listened to your album, and forgive me for not remembering the name. I listened to it, And I was like, yo, each track that I heard was just incredible.
Thanks,
you know,
man. Wow,
starting off with the first one, was it Children or something? You know, I was like, but I didn't know you was a singer like that. Yeah, and I assume you write all the songs. So what caught me was I mean, I've heard people sing and rap, you know, I'm not gonna make it seem like that's commonplace, but I've heard people do that. But then what caught me was like, you know, how you're listening and you're like, yeah, that's, and then it's like, whoa, this is a little bit deeper. Not just a head nodding song, you sang a whole lot of stuff. Let's talk about this first song that we're gonna play, the first song off the album.
Sure, this one's called Children's Work, and it's produced by MK who is one of the producers in the DoomTree stable. I heard this beat first because it was slated to be an interlude in an album we put out last year, and I went, I want that. And he went, oh, it's an interlude, and I went, I know, I really want that though. And so after kind of beating him down, he gave me the unfinished interlude, and I wrote, you know, my 16s to it, wrote a hook, and we worked together then to, you know, sequence it appropriately. But this track was about my relationship to my little brother, whose name is Maxwell, and he, as the lyrics of the song convey, I hope, he was a really special kid. He didn't talk much, and I'm really extroverted. He had eyes that were enormous, and it felt like people really noticed, even when we took him to the supermarket. You know, 16 and 17-year-old cashiers would go, what's with him? What's the deal with this little kid? He was a really special kid. So I wrote this song to try to capture a little bit of that feeling and of the relationship we shared as children.
Well, there you go. We're going to take a listen. We'll come back.
My father was a paper plane. My mother was a windswept tree. My little brother's nearly twice my age. He taught me how to meditate. I taught him how to read. I grew up with a book in my bed. I got these dark circles before I turned 10. Heard my mother with her friends worry it was something she did to get such a serious kid. Now I've learned how to paint my face, how to earn my keep, how to clean my kill. Some nights I still can't sleep. The past rolls back, I can see us still. You learned how to hold your own, how to stack your stones, but the history's thick. Children aren't as simple as we'd like to think. Before you came along, I was a lone cub, fell in love with language, tried to tell the grown-ups about the storm clouds, the weather in my head. Hadn't heard the word for melancholy yet. Then you came in 5 years behind. We thought you couldn't talk, turns out you were just shy. Mom said it was serious, Dad said you'd be fine. I thought you were the prophet of 1989. You were so tender, we thought something was wrong with you. So patient, we thought that you were deaf. You were so solemn, so tiny but so ancient. Mom took you to see doctors, you scared her half to death, and I made you a library of tiny books with spines 2 inches high. You didn't say too much but smile, taught me how to quiet down my mind. Now I've learned how to paint my face, how to earn my keep, how to clean my kill. Some nights I still can't sleep. The past rolls back, I can see us still. You learned how to hold your own, how to stack your stones, but the history's thick. Children aren't as simple as we'd like to think. You slept in my bed, and if I kept quiet, I could hear all the voices in your head. When the wagon tipped, I prayed over your body. I asked God to take the damage out on me. 10 years later, he finally gets the memo, sent it to accounting and knocked out my front teeth. But you came to and took my hand and held my eyes.